Okay, I am recording. Hello, people. I started recording late, but literally nothing has happened. So here we go. I
The
forgot.
audio is fine though.
Yeah, but I forgot to hit the start recording on the video because I forgot. The green screen back there will someday be used. Just, you know,
I should
not
get
yet.
one of those one of these days.
Not today. Not today. So let's talk a little bit about how today's show is going to go. Normally on the station we talk about, the Star Citizen news. There's very, very little news to talk about this week. We're going to talk about what there was, maybe talk about some other stuff a little bit, and then we're going to go into questions. Would love some questions if you have any. Throw us your questions in the question doc, and with that, let's start with, apparently this week, there's been a little bit of a kerfuffle in the Star Citizen community about the concept of luxury.
The irony.
So I think, as I understand it, people
Is that
are...
product placement?
Yeah. I'm shilling for Guinness.
Nice.
Guinness. It'll get you drunk.
Hey, I enjoy Guinness.
Guinness is the best.
It's like the one beer I actually enjoy that you can buy at a store.
Oh, did you just call Guinness beer? Oh, you've just offended the entire continent of Ireland, sir.
Why?
That's a
It
possibility.
is beer.
Continent? I don't know.
It is beer.
It's a stout, sir. It's a stout.
No, Shiver, you are actually wrong. And I actually argued with this with I can't remember if he was Irish or Scottish. I know that he'd kill me if I called him the wrong one. But at CitizenCon in the UK, I argued with a Irish Scotsman about beer is the overall tech, like it is the the highest level. Everything underneath beer is something else.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was someone else too. It was actually someone on one of the tours we did a tour of Foundry 42. I was arguing with him about it on the tour, and we were like, whatever. And then we actually met up later at a pub randomly. Like, they were at the pub and we went to the pub, and we're like, hey. And then I looked at the wall, and on the wall at the pub was a list, like a taxonomy of beer at the top and everything else under it. And I was like, hey, have you seen that? He was like, fuck you. It was great.
The best thing was, if that's true, you were having an heated discussion with me beforehand with that poster behind you, and I said, beer's just like the catch-all term for it. It's actually got like ale, mead, and all definitions of it. And you're like, no, it's just beer. It's just beer. And apparently you see the poster that actually says that, and I didn't.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about? Mead isn't a beer.
Mead is not a beer.
No, I was just using it for an example.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It is not.
Anyway, let's...
Because I was like,
sorry,
wait a second.
everyone.
Yeah.
We've actually decided to do a podcast about beer this week instead of Star Citizen because there's so little in Star Citizen. But
well,
no.
now that you
And
mentioned
you've
that.
invited the robot, who has no ability to drink and does not mix with alcohol. Good
And I'm
choice.
teetotal.
It's true. We did. No, let's
You mix
actually
very well with beer.
let's start with the 600i because that was unveiled at Gamescom. And one of the ideas behind it is a luxury ship. If you look at its stats, in a lot of ways it's actually worse than many of the Connie variants, but it is significantly more expensive. First off, what do you guys think about the 600i itself? So let's start with the Auto DJ. What do you think?
Overall, I think it will be a very nice craft to fly out into the deep black and take in the stars and the sights. It will also be for exploring very safe space and NPCs and PCs who feel it will be, yes, we want to pretend we're explorers, just like people who are taken out on safari and want to pretend they're on safari.
You bought one, didn't you?
I did.
2.
I got one.
You
I
did.
knew it. No, just the way that Flint was talking about it, or the auto DJ, excuse me.
Yeah. No, I actually, that's a really good point. It's the people who want to pretend to explore.
And if you look off to the left, there's some pirates.
It's like when people go camping in a camping van rather than, hiking into the hills and pitching a tent and actually camping, or people who go and like drive up to a campground and they've got like is there something funny with the word camping now? Holy shit.
Pitching a tent.
There's funny with the words pitching a tent.
Oh my god.
I didn't even see that one.
Well, yeah, it's because he's not standing
I'm
up.
the one with no optical sensors.
Maybe I should start drinking again.
Oh my god. Yeah.
You know, if you don't drink, wouldn't you end up dehydrated and dying?
Anyway, so yes, you are right though.
Silence, what do you think about the 600i?
So, I actually think that it's a really fun concept as far as a ship. Mostly because I imagine we'll get into this. From the top, I absolutely love it. Like when you're looking down at it, or even from the front and looking back at it, I really enjoy the way that it looks and the profiles of it all. Even if it is compared to that really funny one with the smile, or as we were talking about last night, parts of anatomy. However, from the side, I hate it. Like, I absolutely hate the way it looks from the side, because there's no real breakup of it. So you can't really tell which is the front and the back unless you kind of know what you're looking for to begin with. And it just looks like this sort of oval-ish shape that reminds me of a throat lozenge.
Oh.
Hence why I say the lozenge.
I see. Shiver, your thoughts on the 600i?
I can't wait to shoot one. That's for damn sure. But looking at it from its perspective and scale is very important. They shoved it in with the commercial with the 300i, but judging by that, I think it's going to be easier to attack from the top or the bottom because it's got a much larger profile there than on the side. But it's surprisingly tall, and I think it's come out recently. They might have got the estimations wrong on the size of it. It could be up to 91 meters long, which is
massive.
Hooking big. I think that's about nearly the size of a reclaimer.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be how big?
Apparently, it could be up to 91 meters long.
That thing's going to blow up nicely.
Right.
Well,
and it's only got 3-man crew. So I wouldn't say it's a cheap multi-crew ship.
It's only three
one of the things
only
they
three
did
crew?
say,
ship.
one of the things they did say is it's probably the easiest multi-crew ship to solo pilot.
I mean, that's like a low kill to explosion ratio there for something so big.
But a high profit.
True.
In theory, anyway.
So
I've seen a lot of people say they want to get the 600i and then just strip the parts off and sell the parts because, in theory, they should be luxury, higher class parts, and that's how they're going to use it for making a profit. It's an interesting idea. It's a unique
Assuming it's
perspective.
possible.
Yeah, assuming it's possible.
Well, it'd be a profit you could only make once.
Mm.
So a quick note, apparently anyone near Atlanta for Dragon Con, there is a Bar Citizen tomorrow night. Disco Lando and a few CIG personnel will be there. Don't know where it is, but you can probably find it on the Bar Citizen site. Check that out. You should go see that if you're in the area, because, hey, Bar Citizens.
Can't go wrong.
Did you know over the Gamescom period there was just over 30 Bar Citizens going on?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That
Pretty
is
excellent.
really cool.
So
CitizenCon there should be loads.
You know, I'm kind of wondering if there's any sort of correlation with the number of bar citizens and the increase of citizens.
I've noticed there's a correlation between the increase in bar citizens and the increase in liver failures.
You know, I could see that one. Do you suppose there's an increase in ships crashing with?
what I have noticed is there's an increase in the number of ships sold on day one when all the people that see the ships for the first time are at a Bar Citizen.
Man, that ship looks amazing.
That ship's so good.
Let's buy
Red
this
Dawn
shit.
90 brought up something. The thing that really disappointed him is no VIP missions with the 600. It really looks like the ship should be able to do them. I'm guessing that the way they answered that question, because it was a bit of a ambiguous answer, really. I think they've just kind of covered their butts in case they don't actually include these VIP missions at all, because like why like he says, I don't see why there is no reason why, if there is a VIP mission, why you shouldn't be able to do a VIP mission in it.
What are VIP missions? I don't think I've actually heard of that one.
VIP missions is the idea that you can take a mission to fly someone who has a lot of money to a place.
Or someone who's like an important official and things. Yeah.
Well,
So
okay.
Hence the people who want to pretend they're out on safari or pretend they're out exploring.
Yeah.
Or want to take a very, very nice limousine somewhere. That's who you're going to get a VIP mission from.
Which that's
God,
one of
it's
the
going to be
things-
used on stag nights and hen nights, isn't it?
That's one of the things that people talked about for the 890 jump. The idea that you could use your 890 jump as a, let's take this,
The party wagon.
the prime minister of a little tiny moon is like, I need to go somewhere, but I don't have the money for a smart, fancy ship. I need to borrow yours, right? Or something like.
I think like the 890 jump, I get very much the impression of the luxury yacht from Fifth Element.
Yeah.
So
Then
auto
like
DJ, as a mechanical being that has no ability to understand or really to see luxury, what do you think about this very idea of there are some ships that are no better than other ships, but they're just prettier? ?
The aesthetic component is going to be a uniquely human aspect that humans like to take in. But then again, you also have other races and species who do have their own personal taste in aesthetics. What I'm wondering about is how that will affect things. Will it make an NPC that is brought onto your crew happier and more willing to serve you because they're more comfortable? Or NPCs that are gruff and rough around the edges, would they be unwilling to serve on such a fancy-ass ship?
Well, wouldn't you be the person to talk to, since aren't you kind of like an NPC in a way?
In a way, except I don't have any sort of aesthetic tastes. I mean, it could be worse. I could like sheep.
This is true.
It's true.
This is true.
Shiver. I don't tend to think of you as the most luxury-minded person. I've seen your room. For you, something like does any of the Origin lineup, because most of the Origin lineup is pretty luxury oriented, right? The 600.
Funny story. My first ever ship was a 300i. Then it was a 325A, and I've bought all sorts of other ships since. And I still went back and bought another 325A. I like the 300 series. It's sleek, it's sexy, and it's got some teeth.
Do you feel like there's kind of a disconnect between the cheap Origin offerings and the expensive ones? Because it looks to me like there's the 300 series are really small but capable, and they can bite and they can fly and they can do just about everything. And then you've got the 600 and the 890 jump that
specialized, isn't it? I mean, you've got the 300 series is considered a starter ship, and so you've got to have a starter ship, and it means something. Like the cheaper BMWs, even the more expensive BMWs, they'll get you from A to B. They've got a boot that you can put your shopping in, or dead bodies, and then you've got these. You wouldn't go to the shops and back in a flipping limousine, would you? I hope.
I was going to say, kind of like
So
those.
It's a specialized role.
What is that? The Scion XD? I forget the one that's the sports car variant. They're kind of on the cheaper side, but they have decent lines. rear-wheel drive. What?
A4s?
No.
So here's Zeus and Oxia brings up a good point that the 300 is actually in the process of being reworked because it's always been really good looking outside but not great inside. How close? Like, do you expect it to get one larger and two, more similar to the 600 and the 890? Like, do you expect it to sort of lose its everyman feel and be a bit more luxury after the rework? Start with Silence.
Well,
Luxury in a starter ship is having a bed.
True.
Hey!
The
We're
Aurora
supposed to
has one.
We're supposed to start with Silence.
We were
So
supposed to start with Silence.
everyone be quiet.
Everyone silence.
Oh, did you mean me?
Yes.
Oh shit. What was the question again? So anyway, I actually hope that they don't go with removing that sort of everyman feel to it. I'm actually hoping that they keep it up with that sort of economy luxury ship, if you will, while still keeping it with that the heavy variants. And actually, someone mentioned my favorite one, although I didn't get it, the 350R. I fucking love that ship. I think it looks so damn sexy. About the only one I like more than that is the Gladius. I just love the look to both of them. They just but anyway, so I'm hoping that they don't go full on luxury or trying to take it away from that everyman feel, because as was pointed out, it is a starter ship. So if they remove that sort of ability to make it feel like it can fulfill multiple roles and not really do anything great but does everything okay, if they kind of remove that, then I think that they're going to kind of remove that enjoyment of it, like the higher end everyman sort of idea.
What do you think, DJ?
I'm somewhat mixed. I do expect them to maintain the same general aesthetic and general shape of the 300i series. I do expect it to grow slightly larger as far as the pilot and living area, and in return they will shrink the engine somewhat. That will allow for storage space, room for any quote-unquote additional systems and that sort of stuff. But for the most part, I don't think they're going to change the aesthetic. They may add an extra window or two.
Sure.
It's got, right now as it stands, 300 series, all of them as far as I know have a cargo space. Now, if you look at the current model, the fuck are you going to get that much cargo on there? People say, oh, you put it in the middle bit, but it's like, well, you're going to have to crawl over everything if it's in there, and that doesn't scream luxury to me. They did say in the past they might have a box that attaches to the ship, and then you're like, well, my luxury. It's like sticking a bike rack on top of a really nice car. It doesn't look quite right. And then they said maybe a trailer. So I think they've kind of either going to have to just chuck out the idea of having cargo units on the ship, or as Flynt suggested, really slim down those engines and basically give it a boot.
Could they fix that problem by just having you enter from the front? Cockpit entrance?
Having the ship visor lift up
Mhm.
on the Gladius.
Yeah.
I think that
What
would be
about my gold doors? That's sexy.
But-
Gold
well,
doors like a DeLorean.
Put a line down the center and have the canopy actually open up as a gull.
Yeah.
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 or something. I mean,
It's something.
There's options.
The question is,
Or you could do it on the one side so it hinges.
yeah. Now let's be honest.
Instead of-
One of the things that CIG are known for is taking a ship and making it way larger than it should have been. Actually, one of the only ship. So it hasn't happened to the Aurora, the Connie, or the Freelancer. The Cutlass got bigger. The Avenger
Freelancer's going to have to get bigger, though, isn't it?
Freelancer's going to have to get bigger. The Avenger got smaller. Most of the ships end up bigger. Do you think that the 300 series are going to end up bigger?
Marginally, if at all.
I think it depends on if they want to
A
keep their
small
cargo.
amount,
So
but the engine's going to shrink.
If they want to add to the cargo, I think they're going to have to make it a bit bigger because the space has got to come in somewhere.
So I want to take a second to talk about like the truck simulator games, Euro Truck Simulator, and those, and like, and it's actually I'm having a hard time finding like an actual example of it in most games, but there's in lots of games there's this way of like customizing your ship and making it look the way you want it to, right? And I feel like that is more luxury than most other things, and the ability to buy a ship that you think looks pretty is, if you don't like the 600, if you don't find it looks good and is what you think matters, then you just don't buy it, right? Who cares if you think it's luxury? There's someone else out there who's like, this ship looks beautiful. I just want to fly around in it and just, yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I find
that is literally the idea of luxury, though, isn't it? Of just having a ship for the sake of having a ship. I think it's got an onboard billiards table, which is quite cool. And then just, that is literally the idea of luxury. You've got literally money to burn.
I've been looking at a lot of houses lately because I'm trying to buy a house. And like, you know what my idea of luxury in a house is? Like my number one thing I want at this point?
A constellation?
No, a wood-burning fireplace.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm with you on that one.
Like, I want a home with a wood-burning fireplace. That, to me, is like, that is the luxury add-on. But a lot of people would be like, no, fuck that. I want, granite countertops, and I want,
Well, yeah, but you can always add granite countertops in. You can always add that stuff. You can't add a burning fireplace.
So I would have thought luxury is something completely superfluous, like silk toilet tissue or a home bowling alley.
Yeah, but I mean, generally speaking, a wood-burning fireplace is completely superfluous these days.
Mm-hmm.
Central air and heating.
You don't need one at all. It's useless.
Central air and heating. Yeah.
It's useless.
We do. Many places here still have, like...
Are you sure it's not gas?
I know for a damn fact. If it's gas, and I've been doing something really wrong.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, not just you. I mean, obviously with yours,
We do, but then generally, you've got to remember, we do have a lot of houses here that are older than many countries.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's all still... It does depend on each culture.
I'm looking at like 30-year-old houses, and they're considered old over here. Like...
Oh, yeah.
Like...
Oh, are you kidding, dude? If you get a house over in America, in many places, if it's 30 years old, it's like, maybe we should just tear it down and start over.
Yeah.
How about a cookie cutter? Can we get one of those cookie cutters?
Fuck that.
Complete side note, it really always gets me as weird and cool that people in the States and Canada can go, yeah, we bought this plot of land and we're just going to build a house on it. It's like, what?
There's land?
It's that simple. We just buy a plot of land and we're going to build a house on it.
Yeah.
Well, that to me that's like extremely rare, and that's luxury.
Oh yeah.
Auto DJ, how do you feel when you have to buy like a new CPU or something and migrate over to it?
Broke.
Nice.
Very, very broke.
Well, that's because the Auto DJ just did buy a new CPU to upgrade to. Oh, he did.
For a heat sink, I think.
I just spent about 4,000 UEC to upgrade to a new computer.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
yeah. What CPU are you running?
Threadripper 1950X.
Say that with such disdain as well.
Yeah.
Threadripper.
Well, it's because he's mostly just waiting for the heatsink, and he's like...
The heatsink does not exist yet.
That
it's not going to get to the case until Wednesday. I've had the CPU for 3 weeks.
Hence the disdain. Feel this disdain.
Fastcar says $4,000, all the ships that could afford. I feel like the Auto DJ already has all the ships.
Right.
By the way,
this is also a true statement.
Idris is a luxury ship to me personally. It's got a freaking railgun on it. But
I mean, like, when it comes to actually the concept of a luxury ship, I think that it also comes down to how much superfluidity, how superfluous it is. What sort of okay, the 600i is a great example. When you actually look at the statistics for it, the number of crew, that sort of thing, there's not a lot going on with it, and there are other ships in the same category that would be considered better. It's a lot of look pretty, not a whole lot of big boom. Idris, great example of things, but you can still fit a railgun to it.
One of the things that CIG
hurt.
have done for the longest time is, what game mechanic requires a sink, like a kitchen?
Right.
They've actually put some information into that with the survival mechanics.
But even then, you could just eat MREs, right? Like, you don't need to eat something fancy. You don't need to sleep somewhere fancy. This is the base ship. The Aurora could do basically everything you need, except for not having a washroom. But, I mean, is there even a washroom? Like, is there a gameplay mechanic for a washroom? We don't even know.
No, but
they've said already that there isn't a gameplay mechanic for a washroom, which is why the Cutlass does not have one.
So why do we need
touch on, though,
washrooms?
If you stink, NPCs may have a different reaction to you.
There was
may
that
not
thing
be
they
so
mentioned,
open to giving you so many missions and things, which is an interesting idea, because it doesn't really affect your gameplay too much and encourages you to go and have a shower or something.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it also could annoy the living daylights out of you, because it encourages you to go and have a goddamn shower, and you're like, oh, I walked all the way over here, found this guy, got lost, now I've just got to go and wash my armpits until he gives me a mission to pick up a packet of fags.
I mean, think about the fact that, like, you just get out of your ship, right? You run over to the NPC, and then you get over there, and the NPC's like, ew, and you're like, ah, son of a bitch. So you got to turn all the way around and then run back to where your ship and be like, all right, let's take the fucking shower. I mean, that's the sort of thing that I think CIG is looking at going like, yeah. But at the same time, they're like, it's an interesting idea, and it would actually give a reason for that. But I think that a lot of it comes down to their level of immersion that they're bringing into it, which is why we see things like the kitchen sinks and the bathrooms, because otherwise people ask those sorts of questions. I mean, frankly, I've played games and I'm like, well, where the fuck is the bathroom? I mean, it's just nice to see. Not that I'm going to use the damn thing. One of the things that always
bothers me in a lot of games, movies, and books even, is that you seemingly create this world where no one ever uses a washroom. Ever.
Yeah.
No one uses if it's not a sex scene or someone dying in a horror movie, you never see a shower.
Yeah.
You never, like,
Star Trek Enterprise, for all its faults, did.
Yes.
Oh yeah, but he said horror movie.
But like,
if we're going horror movie rules, okay.
But like, it's very rare for media to use washroom. I always find it amazing when in game, like, one of the things that I thought greatest in fucking Duke Nukem 3D was walking into the washroom, seeing a reflection, and using the washroom, because you could bloody use you could piss in the urinal, and my god, you could piss for hours.
So
that was great.
You could do something similar in Postal.
Yeah. Anyway, I kind of want to get us off the luxury topic, because we did have one or two other things to talk about actually before we get to question. I actually came up with some topics, and we've spent so long on luxury that I don't know if we'll get to them. I just want everyone to know that my idea of luxury is toilet paper in the washrooms rather than the 3 seashells.
That's easy, 3 seashells. You do the Rimmer method. 1 up, 1 down, 1 to polish off.
So let's talk bugs.
You?
The burn down this week was not a great burn down. They went up to 94 on Friday. 94 bugs.
Oh
left.
My god!
94 bugs on the wall. Auto DJ, what do you think about the increase in bugs this week?
That's going to be another 20 some odd bugs that they don't have to have the Evocati find. That's a collection of bugs that already existed and just need to be solved one way or another this is a standard part of software development. I can't tell you the number of bugs I've encountered in my software, but I was programmed by a code monkey horsebird, so, you know.
It happens.
Shiver?
It's exactly like Flint said. Those bugs were always there. And when you look at the details, it's only something like, I say, 9 critical bugs. And they want to get, basically, the very least, just get rid of criticals before you can release it to the Evos. And then that's when there's really going to be a lot of shit hitting the fan.
Psylence?
Well, I mean, clearly I should be the one that's saying, "Oh my God, I'm gonna storm off. This is just so." Ah! Because I mean, seriously, why would people get pissed off about bugs? I mean, they're in every freaking software code ever, and it just makes no sense to get worked up over this shit. I don't understand why people get so pissed off over it. We're watching a game being developed. It'll be finished when it's finished, and thank God we don't have someone that's trying to shove it out the door. As much as we might be like, "Oh my God, we want to play it now," at least we don't have like someone like EA who's like, "Get out the door."
Hey, how many bugs did Mass Effect Andromeda release with?
Oh God.
Did any of us actually play it here?
I did. I bought it, I played it, and I gave up very, very quickly because I got fed up with having multiple times an enemy, like a drop ship of enemy troops would come down and they drop off on a large rock. And then, you know, a bunch of them would jump down from the rock, but one of them would fall into the rock. So I'd kill the other ones and there'd be one enemy stuck inside this rock shooting at me from inside it. He can shoot out of it. I can't shoot in, and I had to run away.
Mass Effect 2 to this day still has a massive critical bug in it where if you take cover, once in a while, you will clip into, you will be that bug, and you cannot get out of it. And you're like,
Gotta reload.
Quick Save was my friend in that game. I just constantly hit it every like 2
Auto
minutes.
DJ, how many bugs did you launch with?
More than I am able to count with a 64-bit processor.
That's
at least 6.
At least 6.
Yes.
So
Possibly
at least
Google
64.
Flex.
64 bugs. Okay.
Nice.
I kind of think that
the one thing to remember about bugs is the number of bugs is not representational of time it's going to take to smash them. It's, say you've got these 9 critical bugs. They know about these 9 critical bugs. You could have one of them that's a fucking nightmare that could take 4 weeks to completely eliminate, and the other 8 are completely gone, and in the meantime others have cropped up. But it's not like there are 94 bugs. It's going to take them 94 days to fix this. There's no correlation with number of bugs to time.
it could be that there's one massive bug that they spend a while on and they fix it, and it fixed it, and it fixed another critical bug. And it fixed 3 less critical. One bug fixed 10 other things. Like, it's bugs are fucked.
Oh yeah. Actually, I do some coding stuff on the side. I mean, nothing huge like this, but yeah, I mean, I've had that happen more than a few times.
Yeah.
Where you're fixing one thing, and just by fixing the one, then it's like, oh, well, that actually propagated all my other problems. Like, there we go.
Yep. I'm glad that they've switched the schedule over to telling us how many bugs there are, rather than like how long they expect to release by. Because bugs are one, like, you can give us a list of when you estimate things will finish, and I really like the schedule updates of, like, you know, the what were you talking about, Auto DJ, earlier? The like X is finishing 8th of September. X is finishing.
Mission givers are slated to be completed and bug fixed by the 8th of September.
Yeah, like those kinds of things are good. It's good to have that kind of, this is finished here, this is finished here. But at the end, when everything's finished, that kind of calendar doesn't work anymore, and you have to get into, okay, everything's in, we've broken 3.0 off, it's its own branch, and now it's done when we finish the bugs, right? So I think they're in a good place.
That was one of those that cracked me up with Chris Roberts at the Gamescom.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say. I am not going to give a date. Thank you. I am so glad you finally learned this lesson.
Well, not only did he not give a date in the interviews he did, he also didn't even say that we'd see Squadron at CitizenCon. He said that's what they're trying to do. They really want to show it to us at CitizenCon, but he is not going to make a promise because he doesn't want to break it.
Right.
Their goal is Squadron at CitizenCon.
Yeah. Weren't we just talking about the idea that like we might even? I mean,
that's the next
what
topic.
Would be the... Okay.
I think if we're talking about the same thing. What? Continue your sentence. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that weren't we recently like tossing around the idea of what maybe we'll even see Star Citizen release before Squadron 42. I mean, like as weird as that might be, but
like, yeah, no,
I doubt it.
I don't think so. But, so there was a series of GameStar articles this week. I think there were 2 of them. The first one went out, then it got retracted, and then it came out again with some clarifications. But in the evolution of those interviews, one of the things was, one, that they're hoping to show off Squadron 42 at CitizenCon, though they don't know if they can do it. And 2, and this is the more important one, the one I want to ask you guys your thoughts on, the idea that CIG are still hoping for Squadron 42 to launch this year. Auto DJ, do you think that that's possible? And do you think that if it is possible, have they gone too long before starting advertising for it?
I do think that though it is possible, it would be possible in releasing the same quality garbage as Mass Effect Andromeda. I would rather they wait until next year and get it done right and get everything up to snuff and have it polished and proper and bug-free. I could see a 2018 release, but I'm definitely not going to hold my breath, relatively speaking, for a release this year.
Shiver?
I don't know if I'm going to be optimistic or pessimistic when I say this, but I genuinely think they wanted it to get it out in 2016, and now I think they do genuinely want to get it out in 2017. And if they miss that, I think they do genuinely want to get it out in 2018. That's how I feel. I think they do genuinely want to get it out, but I think they do also want it in a state, like Flynt said, that it can't have like many, if at all, bugs. You know, it has to be something that completely works, that isn't going to mess up, because people are going to be watching this with eagle eyes, and they will jump on any chance they get to just say, oh, it's completely ruined. So it has to be done, and it has to be done right and complete. So 2017, it's possible, I suppose, but then we haven't seen any progress. We haven't been told what's going on with it. I mean, they're not going to tell us unless there's some big thing. I mean, the last thing we heard, you know, everything's playable, missions are in a state of grey box or white box, so it's possible that...
Silence, your thoughts. I will be right back. I need another beer.
Oh, I see how it is. No. I will sit here and I'll wait for him to get back. No, I'm just kidding. My personal thoughts on it is I don't think we're going to see it till 2018. I really don't. I think that they're going to release a little bit more prior to it, and I think they're going to have a bit of a build-up. I don't think that they're going to go so far as advertisement, because that's never really been their thing. Like they've never really been huge on pushing that sort of level of advertising.
They've never really had a product to
exactly.
push.
Well, not just they always kind of have had something. I mean, it's usually been more of an idea than a physical thing. But I don't think they're going to actually really push advertisement as much. I think they're going to let it still propagate a lot by word of mouth, and not to mention we know that as soon as they actually start saying anything, that the friggin' media is just going to go nuts because, oh my God, Star Citizen. And then 3/4 of them are like, it's going to be shit, because that's what they do. But I really don't think that we're going to see anything until 2018, just because I think they're going to have some sort of lead up as far as warning us as the players, or the people, the backers, more so than anything else. And unless we start seeing something that's a bit of a buildup, then I don't think we should really expect it.
So here are my
that's
thoughts. One of the things that I see a lot. Okay, I'm not going to say that it is coming out because I don't know. But here are my reasons that I think it would be possible. Subsumption is what's holding back Squadron 42. If they get that right, then there's nothing stopping them from releasing. The things that hold 3.0 back and Star Citizen back, Star Citizen is held back by mass amounts of content because they need enough content to make it worthwhile to put out. And it's held back by network code because network code is fucking difficult when you're trying to create a universe of this size.
Definitely.
For Squadron 42, neither of those are an issue. Content, they've got the content. The missions are in. They've said that the missions are done. That's ready. They've all last year, 2016 Gamescom, they showed us one of the planets that was going to be shown and used in Squadron 42, one of the completed planets, and it looked ready. Right? We've seen that. So I don't think it's content that's an issue. They don't have to worry about network coding for Squadron 42. The worry for Squadron 42 is subsumption and getting subsumption to the point that Chris is happy with it. Now, if they can do that in the next month or two, I see no reason why they couldn't release this year. Because one, they have said a lot that they want to do a physical campaign, a media campaign, but CIG and Star Citizen would need a much smaller marketing campaign than something like GTA or Destiny because it is based on word of mouth. It's based on word of mouth, and it always has been. They've already made the money for it. It's also PC only, and we don't care as much about, pre-orders because everyone's already pre-ordered Star Citizen. We don't care as much about, going into EB Games or GameSpot or whatever bloody fucking shitty site it is to buy it. They don't need to worry about people going and buying it on Amazon because there aren't going to be physical copies. It's a digital download. So the wind up to release could be as small as a month, could be even smaller. I mean, I'm not saying it should be, but it is theoretically possible in my mind that it could release in 2017, just based on the fact that it's not Star Citizen that they're trying to do.
If they're going to do a marketing campaign, well, they are going to do a marketing campaign, then it would be best to try and capitalize on the fact that they've got X, Y, and Z celebrities in there that at the current time are doing something. So, like, you've got Mark Hamill, you've got a chance with Star Wars to capitalize on that. You've got The Onion Knight, so you've got Game of Thrones, you've got a chance to capitalize on that. Things like that. If there's a new X-Files series, they can use that and say, Gillian Anderson has seen an X-Files, it's also in this game. And Mark Hamill, you may know him as that guy from that ancient classic movie Star Wars. He's in this game. Yeah. Retro sci-fi, I believe they call it.
When does the next episode of Star Wars come out? When's the release for that?
I thought it was December.
So what would you think of a Star Citizen Squadron 42 release trailer that plays before Star Wars?
Fairly intelligent idea.
That would actually be.
Think they actually plan to do that.
I think they plan to do that. Like that is my point. Like, that to me is part of the advertising. It's shit. Let's cash in on the fact that every single person here wants to see Mark fucking Hamill. Oh, guess what? Guess what you can also see him in?
Right. Well, that, and also I think it'd be really smart to do that, especially because one of the appeals to both really, Star Citizen and Star Wars, is the ship combat.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make a lot of sense to actually try and use that as a bit more of a side hype, if you will. Oh, there was one thing, and I don't remember hearing if they actually announced if they're canning it or not, but I remember that one of the original things they were saying was Squadron 42 would support multiplayer options. And that was
Eventually.
alongside
That's
Star
gonna
Citizen.
Yeah, I think you can do a co-op version of some missions
Yeah.
after you've completed the original.
Oh, was it supposed to be after you completed the original? Because I
I
thought they
think so,
originally
yeah.
were pitching it as something you could do
changed it
co-op the whole
slightly.
way.
They
Okay.
originally pitched as something you could do co-op the whole way, but then
Mhm.
the scope of the project ballooned. Excuse me.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
they started adding in things like subsumption, and they realized that subsumption would work better if it's one person that they can involve in the story and not have other people screwing up your story. Because let's be honest,
Right.
I've played with co-op with other people, and they exist to screw up your fucking story.
Sometimes,
And
yeah.
so it's single player for the story, and then after you can go and replay certain missions as co-op.
Okay,
For
I
the
wasn't
people,
sure.
by the
wasn't
way,
sure
who
if
are
they announced
saying Disney would never allow this and all this sort of thing, it's got nothing to do with Disney.
Nope.
It doesn't matter. You can run any advert you want before a movie. Disney don't get much of a say in that.
Also,
if
the
It's the
30-second before a Super Bowl ad, a 30-second Super Bowl ad is actually a fuck ton more expensive than an ad at a cinema, because every single person in the world watches the Super Bowl for some fucking reason, and not nearly as many people go to the cinema. It wouldn't be that it's still pricey, but if that's your I mean, CIG have made 158 million to this point without spending a cent on traditional advertising. So
but I will concede marketing is expensive. Like, for instance, the Skyrim live action trailer, that must have cost Bethesda a heck of a bit to produce and then distribute worldwide on TV.
look at
I don't think we'd expect
Destiny
something
2
like
marketing.
that.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
A theater trailer, that's probably more affordable.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do
I
you
was
think,
also just
Otto
thinking that
DJ?
one,
You've been silent for a while.
No, he's not me.
Correct, I am not Carl Nimoy. I think a theater release would be effective. I do definitely think that they could do that before a Star Wars film. I do know that they are waiting until they have more of a game to release, just as a matter of marketing.
I just had a thought. Keep in mind, we actually have no idea what they've made off subscribers, because subscribers are not part of the 158 million added.
That's true.
And they use the subscriber budget for things like Gamescom, CitizenCon, everything else. We don't know what they've got saved there. Question mark? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Otto.
No need to apologize. That sounds like a perfectly reasonable thought, because that is a separate part of the budget. However, that budget is also earmarked specifically for editing and creation of community content and paying the salary of community ambassadors.
Yeah.
But like, if you say, they have to pay Gamescom, and Gamescom classifies as marketing, they have to pay CitizenCon, that classifies, it's out of a separate budget. And we don't know what their budget for marketing is. We have no idea. So, I think it is actually time, because we've got a decent amount of questions actually. So I'm deciding now that we should move on to question time, because I think we could talk for a long time about CIG's possible marketing opportunities and whether or not they can get Squadron out this year. But yeah. Willick asks, 600i versus Connie SCUs.
I would imagine the Connie's going to have a bigger hold.
I think the Connie's
no,
going
absolutely, I'm wrong.
I think the Connie is going to be a more utile ship, whereas the 600i will be a nicer ship. I think the Connie is ugly as shit. I don't own one. I hate it. I hate the Connie. I hate the inside. I hate the outside. I just I think it's like number 5 on my most hated ships. I hate the Connie.
But what's number 1 on your most hated ships?
The Redeemer.
I love how you're just like right
The
there.
Constellation, without a doubt, is going to have more storage space than the 600i. The 600i is going to have approximately 36 units of cargo space. Most of that is going to be taken up by the rover that is included within the ship. Now, the Phoenix also comes with a rover, but it will have even more cargo space so that you're able to store additional things behind your parked rover when loaded into the bay on the bottom of the Phoenix. So the Constellation definitely wins out in the cargo space argument between the two ships.
Sorry, the Connie is my third most hated ship. My bad.
Oh, what's number 2?
There's the Hornet the second.
Number 2 is the Idris. Hornet is 5th.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So
it goes
why do you
Hornet,
hate the Idris?
Hornet, Crucible, Connie, Idris, and Redeemer.
Why do you hate the Idris?
I can't tell what's going on with it. There's so much going on. It's just, there's stuff everywhere. And why is the bridge all floaty? That seems like a weak point. And it looks like a boat, but it's not a boat. And what the hell is that little bow jut thing? And the things on the side? And why are the thrusters so far out? And the land, like, it's an ugly fucking ship.
You should write an article about that.
I did. I posted it in chat.
I'm actually with you guys when it comes to the cargo space. I really think the Constellation is going to have more. It just doesn't make sense to give something like the 600i more unless they're actually trying to push it away from the idea of being a luxury ship and actually having a more active role.
Don't forget the Phoenix has that like secret smuggler compartment as well.
That's true.
I don't have it up right now, but there was the Q&A on the 600i this week that I seem to remember mentioning something about it being able to hold a Origin rover and something else.
That's where I'm going to put
The something else was going to be the X1,
Yes.
which is the canopy-free Origin racer.
But they did also say that both of those would fit in the cargo area of the 600i. So if you took those out, the 600i would probably have a decent amount of cargo. But we won't know until we see the ship more fleshed out. Second question comes from Triangularity. When 3.0 has been launched, how long do you think the wait for 3.1 will be?
Do we have the roadmap of what they're considering 3.1 at this point?
No,
only from last year.
That roadmap hasn't been updated since last year.
I thought so. So I mean, really, it's toss it up in the air. Who knows? Because if we don't really know what they're expecting to do as a difference between 3 and 3.1, we have no idea what sort of time frame it would even take. And even then, until we actually know how deep the system is between 3 and 3.1, again, it's completely speculation at that point. We could say 2 months, we could say 2 years. Who knows?
At this stage, oh god, I'm gonna say
Nope.
I'm going away for a month.
Nope.
Fuck you all. So I think if 3.0 is on a general release or general beta at least, not just Evos for CitizenCon, there's a possibility we'll get 3.1 for Christmas.
Really, you had to go there?
At
that point, why not just be like, I think we're getting.
If that was a
4.0
human
for
structure, that would be considered a space elevator. It's such a big if.
I just kicked the door accidentally as I walked out, and I think I might have broken one of my
What did the door do
toes.
to you?
It opened too slowly.
You are not Nitro Titan, sir.
Seriously, you can feel your legs.
Yeah, I can feel that one of my toes is broken. Okay.
Oh, it's not broken.
Oh, I think it is. Space Age.
Like I say, that if we get 3.0 at CitizenCon, that big if is if it was a human man-made structure, would be a space elevator. It's that big of an if.
Space Age Hero asks, "What's your favorite ship, and why is it the Endeavor?" Well, I can actually look at my list.
And why is it the Endeavor?
My
I like
favorite
he's like, what's your favorite ship, and why is it this one?
Well, actually, my favorite ship is a tie between the Freelancer and the Reclaimer, but the Endeavor is actually my second favorite ship. Because honestly, for the Endeavor for me, oh, this hurts. The Endeavor for me was just this indication that there was so much more to the game.
I'm sorry, was that a cliffhanger or was that pain face?
Both.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So what about you, Shiver?
Why is the Endeavor your
what
favorite
is your
ship?
favorite ship, and why is the Endeavor your favorite?
I think my
It's
favorite
because the hydroponics,
ship,
isn't it?
I think my favorite ship is oh bollocks now, the Retribution, and it's because I'm a size queen when it comes to ships. And why is it the Endeavor? Because the Endeavor is as close as you can get to having a hangar in space.
That's not true. You can go with the Idris.
Auto DJ, why is the Endeavor your favorite ship?
Oh, okay. You're gonna go with the Auto DJ. I see
Well,
this.
it doesn't take too terribly much to reverse the broadcast frequency of the scanning satellites so that I'm able to broadcast outbound with it. It makes for the perfect radio station.
Oh, I thought you were gonna try to use it to take over the galaxy.
And Silence?
I'm a big fan of fighters, and it really kind of depends on what we see as far as the abilities of the fighters. At the moment, I really like the Gladius, just because I enjoy the maneuverability of it combined with the firepower, although I do wish it was a little bit more. That's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of the Hornet, actually, is because of the fact that I find it to be very sluggish by comparison as far as the maneuverability. But why is the Endeavor my favorite? I think it's actually very much for the similar stance as Eris. It's the possibilities that it opens. There's so many things that you can do with it. This idea of being able to search through space with it, or even as Shipper pointed out, hangars. You can have it as a mobile hospital bay, and you can call your ship to it. I mean, that's fucking awesome.
Hangars, hospital, research, explore. The Endeavor is the do-everything ship. It is the ship that was like, okay, look, we've been small timing it with the Reclaimer. That's salvage. It's small time. We've been small timing it with like a Cutlass Red for hospital. We've been small timing it with all these things. This is when we go big time. This ship does everything, and its fucking front breaks off into an explorer ship. What the fuck more do you want?
I know, it's amazing.
I want some sort of weird hadron collider in the middle of it that spins.
Oh, it's got
Can that be done?
Yeah, it's got that. Yeah. No,
what about mining? Can we do mining with it?
I don't
say yes. You can just put it in the hangar. You can just
sure, yeah. Have a mining ship in the hangar. Sure, why not?
I mean, theoretically, you could, just not with the actual
you
ship.
Hit the asteroid hard enough. The asteroid might.
There you go.
Hey, they released the Endeavor, and then I wrote a like 20-part series about a doctor on a fucking Endeavor because it excited me that much.
Oh yeah, I
love it.
The Doctor or the Endeavor?
Both.
Okay.
I like Dennett. Silence asked, the penis might here. Does it work?
No.
Does it work?
For that, you need the master mate.
Patent pending.
Here, I thought I was going to skip over it. Sorry, I was watching SNL skits before we started watching this, cracking up.
Not Bela Q at all asks or says, suggest me a sci-fi book, please. Just finished Armada by Ernest Cline, and I feel adrift. Lots of love, guys. iRobot.
That's a good one.
Any of the Red Dwarf books or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy if you haven't read it.
Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's an awesome one. I love those books. Yep. They crack me up. Actually, I was just recently going up one.
Armor.
Go.
What's that, Auto DJ?
Armor. John Stakely, the book titled Armor, is a fantastic sci-fi book.
Armor? Does Silence have it in his library there?
No, he's just got ants in his pants.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, what?
See?
What's John Stakely armor? Okay.
Um,
I recommend
Stakely.
I recommend anything by Isaac Asimov.
I like Asimov. That's no, I mean, is yeah. I'm a big fan of the Ender's Game series. Just the first one. I'm not a too big. No, I mean, the first one, and then there's like maybe one other good one, but I'm not. Anyway, there's actually one that I've recently been listening to that is interesting because it's sort of sci-fi fantasy-ish. It's kind of different. Well, not like fantasy as in like high fantasy. I mean like fantasy, like it has this sort of medieval sort of feel to it, but it has these sort of sci-fi concepts mixed into it. Called The Way of Kings.
Way of Kings.
It's
That's Brandon Sanderson.
yes.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson, Way of Kings. It's one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah, like I actually
Yeah.
quite like it, and you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
Like it's kind of sci-fi.
It's excellent. It's got
Yeah.
it's kind of a bit of everything. Brandon Sanderson is excellent. Definitely look him up because man, I've actually been going
Oh!
through all of Discworld.
Would
Oh.
Stephen King's The Langoliers count as sci-fi? Because that was
Sort of.
amazing.
I
really
know what
enjoyed
you're
that.
going with there, but I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure if what. Yeah.
Oh, Fast Cart, yes, Old Man's War is great, but Brandon Sanderson is my favorite author right now. Except that Terry Pratchett is better because Terry Pratchett, oh my god.
Terry Pratchett did some good stuff. Oh, and Starship Troopers. Don't forget Starship
Yeah.
Troopers. That book is actually pretty solid, and it's a kick because if you've actually been in the military or know people and have talked about the whole thing, it does have some real world correlations to the way that things actually work. And it's not like the movie. It is not like the movie at all. Like actually comparing those two is almost a travesty in a way, because I think it discredits both of them because they're both very good in their own way, but they're very, very different.
I was.
I
waiting,
feel like we
I
could
was
actually
waiting,
have-
but yeah, June.
I feel like we could actually have an entire podcast where we just talk about books.
Oh, easily.
Oh, I'd
I
love that.
love books. I mean, like
in
Very,
the houses
very easy to accomplish.
Oh, yeah.
the houses I'm looking at, one of the things my wife and I are looking for is a space that we can turn into a library, preferably with preferably with the wood fucking fireplace. Wood fireplace, library space. Bam!
In fact, if you actually need some help with the bookshelves and everything, assuming you find space for it, I know someone.
How do you mean?
Well, I actually work for a company that does woodwork.
Oh, I do woodwork.
Oh, okay.
I was planning
but
on
yeah,
building
so-
my own wood shelves.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you can probably see my thing behind me. That's actually done by us.
Oh, nice.
But we've done anyway. So, the another one actually that I was thinking of, if you guys like Star Wars, I can never speak highly enough of the X-Wing series. I love those ones. And I really enjoyed the Republic Commando series.
Republic Commando is a great game. I'm going to get us back to some questions because there's a lot of them. Fastcart asks, do you think there will be combat
books?
tactics? I know I want to talk about books too, but people come here for Star Citizen, I think. Fastcart asks, do you think there will be combat tactics involving ramps? So much death and destruction. I actually think that ramp was the Idris's secret weapon. It opens... It opens itself, pretending it's all open and inviting, and then crushes your soul.
You know, I do wonder whether or not you could actually do that in release game with just can't be bothered to waste any ammo. Just land on him and release the ramp on their Jeep. Fuck it.
Well, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't be able to. I think it would be a pain to try and line up properly, but it would be hilarious in its own way. I mean, it always reminds me of the acronym AFK, a free kill.
So the original Grib asks, I'll let Auto DJ take this one. I noticed in the Gamescom streams that rovers and the Nox seem to have very limited fuel. Since it was my plan to land and explore the planet in a rover, it sort of makes me nervous. Do you think they'll have places to refuel scattered around the planet?
Unlikely, unless they have them attached to the individual outposts that are scattered throughout the planet. If they do, well, yes, the likelihood of them having that, 50-50. It really depends on what particular amenities the outpost has.
What if they've got a Mr. Fusion?
I love hearing Shura's voice through Auto DJ's Auto DJ after the fact is amazing. It's beautiful.
It really is.
I love it. Space Age Hero asks, do you see Star Marine and or Arena Commander picking up popularity again with 3.0? Will there be planet-side Arena Commander maps? Yes and yes.
Didn't they actually confirm recently a planet-side map soon for
at least for
Star
racing?
Marine?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, was it racing? Okay.
But I mean, I could definitely see it picking back up. I mean, it always does whenever there is any sort of increase in the, or whenever there's a new release. It always seems like that's when we see a spike.
Yeah.
If people use it as a test bed.
Looking at the Star Citizen community lately, it's actually been very mellow and small. Almost a year without a release will do that. But yeah, I think when 3.0 comes out, it's going to pick up a lot more. So Rock and Anchor asks, has anyone extrapolated the decrease of bugs in the burn down to when it intersects with 0? No, just because it goes
There's
up,
not enough
down,
data
up,
points.
down. We don't have enough weeks to really extrapolate anything in the long run. And with bug fixing, it's not like stock. Like, you can kind of over time watch levels of stock of something at a store or a bar or wherever and extrapolate where they're going to go. With bugs, you could fix one bug that fixes 20, or you could fix one bug that adds 20. There's no real...
Well, yeah, but I mean, theoretically, we could try to extrapolate something if there was enough points of data, but we just, not with the way that it currently is. I mean, it's only been, what, a month? I mean, it's just, yeah, not enough points of data to really extrapolate an exact or even a hypothetical answer.
Yep. So Zeus asks, what is Tony Zervek working on right now? Tell me or else.
Subsumption, isn't it?
Subsumption.
I thought that was one of his
He's working on
things.
Star Citizen.
Thank you, Auto DJ.
I was going to say that one, but it's so much better when the Auto DJ says it.
Zeus also asks, you know that Roberts wants face tracking in Squadron 42 so you can look around in your cockpit. How long do you reckon FOIP is going to delay episode 1? Not at all.
Why would they delay it?
I don't expect it to delay it at all.
It looked like it was working already. I mean, maybe the speaking of it isn't completely okay, but the face tracking at least looked like...
I was actually impressed by that,
like
too.
the face tracking was really impressive right off the bat. I don't think it's going to delay it at all. They've got other things that would delay it more than the FOIP would.
And actually, to those people that are complaining, like, oh my god, I want to track IR for this reason, it doesn't track as far as track IR.
Yeah.
So, I mean, stop complaining, because, you know, you're going to get more utility. And, well, I mean, you're going to get more utility if you play any other games with track IR than you will with that, because it's not for every game. It has to be built into Star Citizen or into the games in the future. Plus, you can actually look behind you relatively easily, or 90 degrees off, using that, because you can tell it to do that. I don't think we're going to see that as much with the facial tracking that is going to be provided with the game.
Yeah. So Space Age Hero asks, as far as the single player games go, which features implemented correctly could make Squadron 42 an amazing game compared to other high-end single player games?
Did anyone else... Now, this is
interaction.
my own personal view, but... Oh, sorry, I'll take on.
Oh, I was going to say voice interaction with NPCs. This is a conversation that Shiver and I have had.
For me, and it's personal, did anyone play Star Trek Voyager Elite Force?
No.
No.
It was an FPS in the Star Trek verse. You didn't just do missions.
Really?
No shit, right?
It's called Star
when
Trek
you
Voyager, and it
did- I know. Shocker. Anyway, instead of just going like level 1, level 2, level 3, you would beam back to Voyager. You could move around, I mean, a very limited amount of the ship and like see what's going on. And that was fucking cool. And the idea for that was in Wing Commander. Like you would go into the bar and you'd talk to the barman in this 2D screen and he'd say something to you. You'd talk to Spirit, you'd talk to Paladin, you'd check your kill boards. But the idea was there of just interacting and walking around this Bengal class. Yeah, just walking around, seeing life, and it's like something like that really immerses you into the game. Everyone drink, and it makes you invested in your character that bit more rather than just invested in the story of what's going on. I think that extra step of really making you feel you are your character, you are in this game, you can watch life in the game is a really big step forward.
Who remembers this one? You step out of the airlock and that's what would happen when you clicked on the exit in Wing Commander.
Really?
Yeah. When you exited the game, it would say you step out of the airlock and then you go back to. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I don't know that CIG doesn't have to implement anything groundbreaking in Squadron 42. Just the idea of walking around a living ship that actually feels like you're on the ship is enough. Lots of games that I've played, lots of single-player shooters that I've played have tried that, but they've done it so briefly at the beginning. And I think, what was it, Call of Duty... The Space Call of Duty did it kind of, where between every mission you'd go back to this...
Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, Infinite Warfare did it, where between every mission you'd go back to this base that you were on, but the base was clumsily organized. You could only visit like 3 floors. There were like 2 people to... it didn't feel like you had anywhere to go on the ship, whereas CIG just has to build it. It just has to be a single-player game set inside the Star Citizen playground. Rudy's here. Hi, Rudy. Anyway, let's move on a little bit. Winstill says, "What is your definition of release as it relates to Star Citizen?" I don't have one. My definition is whatever CIG considers release. And we'll see what they determine release. We'll see what features are in what they determine release. And from there, we'll decide if we're angry or happy about it.
I would say when it actually, when they say, this is the release one, it's no longer in beta or alpha. Yeah.
My definition of release, as it pertains to Star Citizen, is when the missile is released from the torpedo tube.
Oh. Preachman asks, "It seems obvious that the planetary procedural generation has been a major part of what's delayed Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Do you think it was worth the wait?" Actually, it's part of it, but I don't think it has delayed it as much as getting Subsumption right. Subsumption is the main thing that's delayed it, because if you remember correctly, back before they started working on Subsumption, they had... all their AI stuff was going through Moon Collider, and I think the thing here is they've stopped working with Moon Collider and started doing it on their own because, again, Chris wanted at a different level than it was at. So I don't think it's the procedural planet stuff that's holding it back. I think it's the Subsumption stuff. The procedural planet stuff is definitely working with it. We saw the procedural planet that they did last year at Gamescom with all the lava and the things, and that was beautiful. But it's Subsumption that's holding back, and it is Subsumption that is going to hopefully make the game better than any of the other single-player FPSs that are out.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. A delay today is a delay we don't have to have later on in the project when it's really going to piss us off.
More or less, yeah. Or it's going to be a bug that's going to be fixed.
DJ,
that
any
would
thoughts?
otherwise piss people off.
Well, seeing how as I am an artificial intelligence, and you see how poorly I perform, I would much rather have the NPCs in Squadron 42 behave better than I.
Agreed.
What? You don't perform poorly. You're awesome.
Except when it comes to right-hand turns.
Yeah, and
Turn
delete all the
left.
porn.
Fastcart asks a few questions in a row.
Deleted.
The first one we've already covered. It was about the co-op and network code. Co-op is a feature that CIG are going to include, but it's going to be after the main game. The second one, the Gamescom sales end on Monday. Are there any ships you're trying not to buy before the sale ends? Fastcart's trying to not buy the 600i. Apparently he's weak. I already got my 600i. I actually am really happy of how I got my 600i. I melted a bunch of things for it, and those things that I melted for the 600i, which, to be honest, is his ship I don't really care about, I'm going to earn those things in game instead.
Exactly. And I will be right back.
I'm resisting melting a lot of shit to get an Idris.
And you, Otto?
What amazes me most is that there are still glaives available. Otherwise, no, there's nothing that I have to resist the urge to purchase because I've already purchased all of it. It's amazing what can happen when you have access to the base's finances.
Man, the base makes way more money than Relay. So
we're a radio station.
It's
of course we do.
Yeah. Fastcart says, speaking of books, what do you prefer these days? Audio, ebook, or paperback? Ebook for reading, paperback for having it on my bloody wall.
Hardback.
I hate hardback. Hardback should burn in hell. Tilu asks, does the Ursa use fuel or batteries? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Well, the Grey Cat uses fuel because it's got a combustible engine, but I can't recall the start-up sound of the Ursa.
I don't know about the Ursa.
It's possible it has both. It has a primary and like a submarine. It has a primary engine that's combust because of efficiency, and then an electric engine that doesn't last as long, but for emergencies maybe.
I don't know. Spaceship Training Wheels asks, or says, or whatever, do you think they will fill the gap before 3.1 with ship releases? Can we still trust the ship due dates on the global schedule? No, we cannot, because a bunch of the ships that were supposed to come in 3.1, I believe, are coming in 3.0 because they've been doing more work on ships as they pushed the release date for 3.0 back. So we can't actually trust anything on that old schedule about ships. Ships are going to happen when they happen. We have no idea what's happening. Yes.
Yeah.
Fastcard asks, will you help me make facial animation protocol catch on? No, Fastcard, I will not help you, Fap.
I will.
Shiver will help you,
For
Fap.
the next month, I will do nothing but talk about the facial animation protocol. But only for the next 30 days.
While you're away.
Yeah.
Nice. Spaceship Training Wheels also asks, what sort of spoiler-free breakdown would you like to see in the Squadron 42 schedule? What sort of feature categories or feature lists, i.e. Mission 16 is this % complete, or subsumption features XYZ are due on this date? I'd like, not really a bug list, but here's what's left to complete, like, and not like we have to complete the final battle between Vanduul and UEE at this system, but more like, you know, moving missions 1 through 7 from white box to final assets. Completing pathfinding, completing AI pathfinding on the main Idris. You know, like general terms. I'd like general. Otto, what do you think?
General would be good. I agree. General would be good. It's very hard to avoid spoilers in cases like this because it really depends on what one's definition of a spoiler is. Mission 47, And no detail after that indicates to us, okay, well, there's only 47 missions rather than the promised 50.
Yeah.
That could be taken as a spoiler.
Yeah, I don't even, like, I don't know, I don't want them to even mention missions, if I'm honest about it. I'd rather them just say, you know, working on getting several scenes or several areas of the game to completion. Working on finalizing, you know, doing final asset work on Vanduul ships. And that could mean doing final asset work on a scythe, or completing the interior area of the Vanduul King ship that you'll raid at the end of the game when you make a daring attack on the Vanduul, you know. I don't need that kind of detail. I just want to know finishing up Vanduul interior ships.
Yeah. And actually, I think it's a good point. In fact, I frankly would even say just say the system.
Yeah.
You know, as you said, working on Vanduul assets or fixing subsumption, or adding even things like adding greater versatility to wingman subsumption, because then it's a little bit more in depth, and you know that you're working on like the friendly side for the subsumption or whatever. But nothing that actually states anything.
Isn't the downside of that they come in and what if you suddenly see one day on there, you know, Jean transport implementation complete, and you're like, oh, there's a Jean transport. Now I know.
Don't go that in depth, but say working on other alien ships. Oh, you know that
or working on ships.
Yeah, like working on alien ship interiors.
Additional squadron ships needed for background or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Like working on additional squadron ships.
I'd like them to generalize the hell out of it. So we've got 3 more questions. I'm going to try to get to them quickly. Rudy asks, would you prefer to pilot your 600i pantless or shirtless? Pantless, obviously.
The correct answer is you get someone else to pilot it naked.
Yes.
I thought that it was yes.
Yes. Attack Helicopter asks, where's Jake? I miss his nose. Jake will be on any week that he's able to be on, but some weeks he's not able to be on, and on those other weeks we get other people to be on.
It's true.
Quite.
Like us.
Yes. And, man, let me tell you, the weeks without Jake are much better. No,
you have my condolences.
I like Jake. Jake is awesome. Man, Rudy,
like
don't try and post stuff, but I love that, so I'm gonna post it for you, because you gotta ask first. And wait, oh great, 2 more questions. So quickly, Coffee. Coffee asks, how do you feel about the RSI webcam? It's a webcam.
Yeah. Good luck trying to. Good luck with that one.
Optical interface.
And Nighthawk Zale asks,
is that the real Nighthawk Zale? If that's the real Nighthawk Zale, please stand up because we love you.
Yeah, Nighthawk. Yeah. Nighthawk is awesome. Three cheers for Nighthawk. Nighthawk asks, if Idris A leaves Port Olisar at 1300 SET and Idris B leaves Hurston at 0953 SET, who would reach Microtech first, and why would it be the one to fire its railgun first? Well, clearly Idris C would get there first because Idris C is stationed at Microtech, and it would fire its railgun first because fuck, there's 2 fucking Idrises showing up out of the fucking blue. Better fucking blow those fucking bastards out of the fucking sky, eh, you fucking wankers. And that's it. And
he better open up the comms chat and say, no one suspects the yellow team.
Neither. They both turned left.
Brilliant.
So that is going to be it for the show this week. Commander Hellfire, I've seen you ask in chat a few times how we feel about the PC Gamer article. I didn't actually know that there was a PC Gamer article. I'm going to have to go check it out. And if you ask next week, then I'll be able to answer that next week, because I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one either.
I didn't know there was one. I don't pay much attention to PC Gamer.
I haven't for a number of years.
It rings a bell. I think it was actually, if memory serves, I think it was an objective piece on. Oh no, it's gone.
Was it actually
I don't
objective though? That's the real question.
Yeah. So I'd like to mention that we are going to be, or at least I and Jake are going to be on the Astropub tonight. That starts in about 2 hours. So join us there. I'm going to get heavily drunk and yell at people.
Well, you're already on your way.
Oh, I'm on my way. To misery, to happiness today. I'm on my way. Misery. Sorry. Thank you all for coming. Silence and Auto DJ, thank you so much for putting up with Shiver. I know that it's a pleasure to deal with me at all times, so I'm
always,
you're welcome for dealing with me.
I hate that guy.
Shiver, yeah.
Not yours, you're awesome.
I hate that guy too.
I wish Nitro was here.
Then we get a leg up on the competition.
Yeah, he always says that about me, so it's always good times.
We will see you next week when we do something. I don't know what. Hopefully we'll have more news to talk about, but I'm actually really proud of our guests. Sincerely, all of y'all, thank you for making it so we actually had stuff to talk about this week. And thank you to everyone that asked a question. And thank you everyone that subscribes on Patreon or visits us at relay.sc or whatever those things that we're supposed to tell you to go do, like follow and like and tweet and
Patreon.
Purge yourself
mugs.
and
get a mug. The mug's really good.
And on a more serious note, before we end this week, remember to love everyone that you love and be really happy that they're around, because they're not around forever, and enjoy them while they're there and make sure that they know it. So thank you all.
Speaking of which, if I survive my plane, I'll see you in a month.
Yeah,
it's true.
We'll see Shiver in a month. He's on a hiatus, which means I'm going to have to
Shiver.
Thank you everyone. And seriously, we love you all. See you in the verse.
Have a good night, everyone. Don't die in your sleep.
Say goodbye.